Buongiorno a tutti, sono la signora Nash e sono la vostra professoressa di italiano. Today we are going to look at the Italian verbs and the Italian verbs in the present tense. First, let's have a look at the personal pronouns. So in English, the personal pronouns are I, you, he, she, it in the singular, and we, you, they in the plural. In Italian, they are io, tu, lui, lei in the singular, and noi, voi, loro in the plural. And as you can see, there is no it in Italian. You will have to use he or she, even if you speak about a thing or an animal. In English, there is no different endings for each personal pronoun. However, in Italian, there is a different ending for each personal pronoun. So let's have a look at the verb to speak in Italian. Parlare. Io parlo, o. Tu parli, I. Lui, lei parla, a. Noi parliamo, I-A-M-O. Voi parlate, A-T-E. Loro parlano, A-N-O. However, in English, we have I speak, you speak, he and she speaks. We speak, you speak, they speak. So you can see that the endings change, but what else do you notice? Do you know what the infinitive of a verb is? So in English, the infinitive is the verb in its basic form, before it has been conjugated. To write, to speak, to eat, to run, to play. Those are verbs in the infinitive, in their basic forms, before being conjugated. The English infinitive is composed of two words, and the word to is always in front of the verb in the infinitive. In Italian, the infinitive is made of only one word. However, there are three types of infinitive in Italian. The verbs that end in are, parlare, the verbs that end in ere, scrivere, and the verbs that end in ire, dormire. Now, let's have a look at the first group of verb, the verb that end in are. Let's have a look at the verb parlare, to speak. So what's happening here? We're actually dropping the ending of the verb. We are dropping the are. And instead, we are putting different endings for the different singular personal pronouns. Io parlo, tu parli, lui, lei parla. And look carefully with the verbs in are, the third person end with an A. Now, let's have a look at the group of verbs that end in ere, with the verb scrivere. So again, we drop the ere, and instead we put a different ending for each singular personal pronoun. Io scrivo, tu scrivi, lui, lei scrive. With the verbs in ere, the third person ends with an E. And finally, let's have a look at the group of verbs that end in ire. So again, we drop the ire and we replace it with different endings for the different personal pronouns. Io dormo, tu dormi, lui, lei dorme. With the verbs in ire, the third person ends with an E. Can you guess why? Now, let's have a look at different verbs in are. Inventare, so again we drop the are, and then we add different endings for the different pronouns. Io invento, tu inventi, lui, lei inventa. Lavorare, io lavoro, tu lavori, lui, lei lavora. Ascoltare, io ascolto, tu ascolti, lui, lei ascolta. giocare, io gioco, tu giochi, lui, lei gioca. Can you guess why we add an H to giochi? Bravo, we add the H to giochi to keep the sound K. Now, let's have a look at different verbs in R. Scrivere, io scrivo, tu scrivi, lui, lei scrive. Chiudere, io chiudo, tu chiudi, lui, lei chiude. Leggere, io leggo, tu leggi, lui, lei legge. Prendere, io prendo, tu prendi, lui, lei prende. And now some verbs in ire. Dormire, io dormo, tu dormi, lui, lei dorme. Partire, io parto, tu parti, lui, lei parte. Aprire, io apro, tu apri, lui, lei apre. Sentire, io sento, tu senti, lui, lei sente. And here are some irregular verbs. Essere, io sono, tu sei, lui, lei è. Avere, io ho, tu hai, lui, lei ha. So here, can you hear that you do not say the H? So you won't say io ho, tu hai, lui, lei ha, but io ho, tu hai, lui, lei ha. And finally the verb bere, io bevo, tu bevi, lui, lei beve. So as you can see, those irregular verbs don't follow a regular patterns like the other verbs that we have seen previously. So the only way to remember those verbs is to actually learn them by heart. Now, when do you use the present tense in Italian? Well, when something is happening now, or also to express an habit or something that happens often. So for example, if I want to say I play tennis, in Italian you will say gioco al tennis. If you want to say that now I am playing tennis, in Italian you will say adesso gioco al tennis. If you want to say that you write a letter, in Italian it would be scrivi una lettera. If you want to say that now you are writing a letter, you will say adesso scrivi una lettera. If you want to say that he or she opens the book, you will say apre il libro. And if you want to say that now he or she is opening the book, you will say adesso apre il libro. So what do you notice? Bravo! You use only one verb in Italian. Don't say, all right, adesso lei parla italiano. That is incorrect. You cannot translate now she is speaking Italian by adesso lei parla italiano. You will have to use only one verb. Adesso lei parla italiano. Only one verb. Now here are some verbs in are, and I would like you to write the conjugation of those verbs in are. Use only the singular personal pronouns for now. Io, tu, lui o lei. So the verbs are chiamare, studiare, trovare, comprare, fumare, guardare, cantare, mangiare, telefonare, lavare. Now is a list of verbs in R, and I would like you to write a conjugation of those verbs. And again, only with the singular personal pronouns io, tu, lui, lei. Ripetere, leggere, scrivere, chiudere, prendere, mettere, vedere, vendere, ridere, decidere. And now we have a list of verbs in ire. Again, only the singular personal pronouns io, tu, lui and lei. dormire, vestire, scoprire, partire, aprire. Okay, now we also have verbs in IRE that need the use of isk. So, let's have a look at the verbs so you can understand. Let's have a look at the verb finire. So instead of having io fino, tu fini, lui, lei fine, we need to add isk to the stem. Io finisco, tu finisci, lui, lei finisce. Now capire, io capisco, tu capisci, lui, lei capisce. Pulire, io pulisco, tu pulisci, lui, lei pulisce. Unfortunately for you, it's like for the irregular verbs, there is no way to know which verbs require the isk. So the only way is to learn those verbs by heart. So when you are not sure if a verb in ire needs the isk or not, the best way is to go onto an online conjugation site to look at the verbs or in your dictionary. But you can also buy one of those little books with a list of all the different Italian verbs and their conjugations. So that's very useful. Okay guys, so this is the end of the lesson. Well done everyone. Bravo a tutti e buon ripasso e ci vediamo allora per un'altra lezione di italiano. Ciao ciao a tutti.